Welcome to Whose Turn Is It Anyway, your board gaming podcast where we talk about board games and bring you into our gaming group. We've got a very special expansion pack episode and we've got Becky with us.
Hi everyone.
So just me and Bex, we're going to talk about the Full Board Gaming 2024, first ever event set in Torquay, which we've just come back from yesterday, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely. I finished unpacking all the games from the boxes this very morning.
Have
I've put
you?
them all back in. Yeah. I'd sort it out straight away because I don't like to have bags everywhere. And I did take a lot of games.
You did.
I like to have the variety. I don't like to think of myself going, oh, I really wish I'd have bought such and such. So I'd take everything.
you just like to have your entire collection wherever you go,
Yeah,
right?
that's it.
Yeah. No. Yeah, I took a few. I think I took, 6 games? 7 games? We'll talk about them.
I think I took 6 bags of games.
6 Just like, get them from the car, Curly. Oh, do I have to? So yeah, Full Board Gaming, if you haven't heard of it, I mean, we did an episode last year with Matt Prowse. So Matt Prowse is the organiser of Full Board. And if you want to hear more about that, go and check out that episode where we chat with Matt. But Full Board Gaming is a residential gaming weekend holiday / break, mini break is probably the best way to describe it, right?
Yeah, it's really all-encompassing, and that's the great thing about it. So that kind of inclusivity of stuff. I think I spent the grand total of about, I don't know, £15 more the whole weekend, and that's because I decided to treat myself to a little espresso martini cocktail, which, skipped to the end. I spilt most of it down myself, but I didn't spill it on the games, which was more important.
No.
But yeah, the fact that you pay your money and all your food's included, everything's there. It's got amazing facilities, which I'm sure we'll come on to later. And it's, a whole weekend of entertainment for one set price, which I really like the appeal of that because you know exactly what it's, you can budget, you know what it's going to be.
Yeah,
really like that.
Exactly, and like Full Board being the fact that you get your breakfast, your main meal, all thrown into that price. And you might be thinking, well, yeah, we might need some money for lunch. And you probably do a little bit, but to be honest, I ate so much food that my lunch was like, I can't even manage a bag of crisps.
The only reason I did buy lunch was because I had a massage booked because the actual hotel that we were staying in had a spa attached to it, which we'll definitely talk about later because that was amazing.
Yeah.
So because I had a massage booked for sort of in the morning, I thought, I'll go a bit easy on breakfast because I don't really want to be laying on my stomach with a massive full belly of fry. So I was actually very restrained, and I was sad about that because the first day the massage was cancelled.
Yeah.
Through no fault of the hotel at all. The person who was meant to be doing it wasn't able to go to work, so totally fine. They rescheduled it for the next day, all good. But yeah, so I didn't eat enough to last me till the evening, but I could have done had I not planned it otherwise.
I did. So I just thought, well, if you got breakfast included and your main meal at the evening's included, I need to make this breakfast last throughout the day. Because I've got gaming to do, right? Which is exactly what I did. And it was great. It was great. The hotel we actually stayed at was the TLH Leisure Resort in Torquay. I've not stayed there before. It's actually quite confusing when you first turn up because there's 4 hotels all kind of together in one massive mega complex. Yeah. Pretty much I'd say near the centre of Torquay,
about
walkable.
3 minutes walk from the actual seafront, so it is right there in the heart of Torquay. It's not kind of stranded out in the middle of nowhere. It is right there.
Absolutely, and there's plenty of parking when we found, and there's lots of little car parks there as well, and. Yeah, it was quite an old-fashioned style building.
It would. I had these like sort of flights of fantasy quite often walking down the staircases, sort of picturing myself maybe like 1930s or 1940s, and I could imagine like all the people sort of in their finery kind of wandering around because it would have been very, very grand in its time, I think.
Yeah. So there we go. So that's the kind of hotel. So facilities-wise, which this is what made it different for other conventions like your grid cons or even Expo or whatever, is the fact that you've got spa facilities, you've got pool facilities, there's a gym on site, there's entertainment,
arcades, 2p machines, which I didn't manage to get.
You didn't?
I didn't fit it in. I walked past them and was excited. I love a 2p machine, the pushing machine for maybe our non kind of UK listeners. Those kind of machines where you fill them with sort of very low cost small coins, and you've got like a pushing mechanic where you kind of thread more in our case, 2p coins in, and it pushes some out.
Yeah.
I just love it.
You just keep feeding those coins in to maybe get 40p back.
Yeah,
and then you reinvest those coins to try and get this little key ring,
absolutely,
which is going to move slowly to the edge to drop and go, yes, I've spent £60.30
but
on a key ring.
But you spent about £2 for an hour of entertainment. I mean, where can you get that for £2?
It's quite cathartic though,
it's brilliant. It's brilliant.
So so it's got a load of facilities, and I managed to check out the swimming pool on the Sunday morning. Really glad I did. I was quite tired because I did a lot of gaming, so there's some late nights in there, but I just thought, no, I've got to go and try these facilities out. I'll be gutted if I come back, chat on this podcast and go, yeah, I couldn't be bothered. So I checked the pool out, and I was really surprised. Like, it has this Aztec theme.
It's really fancy.
It's
actually,
quite
parts
nice,
of it.
isn't it? Like, you go in the pool, and there's a bloody Aztec temple at the one end of it, and you're swimming around, and it's really nice. And then there's a sauna, steam room, and I managed to have a little go in both. And it's just, for us, like, setting yourself up for a day of gaming, it was great. But I just think, I said this to my wife Shell when I got back, and I said, this is the convention I think you could come to. And she was like, nah, what are you talking about? Why would I want to go? And I said, well, it's because you could come and enjoy the facilities of this hotel, and which is exactly what Matt wants, right? Is that you can come and play a game for 2 hours maybe, and if you want to swan off and go shopping in Torquay, off you go. Or if you want to go and spend an afternoon in the spa having massages and treatments, and off you go. And I think you're quite fortunate, Becky, because you and Curly, you're both gamers, so you both do it, and I know you enjoy some of these facilities as well. But I think, for my wife or some of the other kind of partners in the group, I can kind of see them going, and actually for them to do their own thing as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the actual, so the swimming pool and the sauna and the steam room, really nice. I made the mistake of going on the first evening after a very, very hectic. I mean, what was I thinking? Fool. I've had a really busy week with work and kind of studying and stuff, and I had a massive meal. And bearing in mind, I'm on a diet, so this was the biggest meal I'd allowed myself for a month, and I had a starter, a main course, big massive queen of puddings dessert with custard, and then thought, oh, I know, what a great idea, I'll go and sit in a sauna and a steam room. I've never had anything drain my battery. I mean, it was lovely. I had the best night's sleep. I slept really quite well, but so don't do that. Little tip: don't have a massive dinner and go and sit in a sauna. I mean, probably no one else is stupid enough to do that, but me and Jay, Curly's younger brother, we went in there, and it was like we're done. I said, I don't want to game anymore. I just want to sleep.
you were done. You came back and we're like, you're right, Becky. It's like,
I was just. But it was that lovely kind of really pleasant, just not exhausted, tired because you've been running a marathon, but just so warm and lovely and just
toasty.
Yeah. But the actual spa facilities, the actual massage and other areas is really swish. Like really, I would compare
I saw the reception.
Yeah, I'd compare that to some of the really fancy Disney World hotels. Actually, it was beautifully themed. Yeah, there was like bamboo stuff on the ceiling and lovely kind of spa music. Really nice, and the massage was one of the best I've ever had. Actually, really,
there you go.
Really. And I've had quite a few massages. I'm lucky enough to enjoy a massage or two, and it was really good. Really, really good. Yeah.
I might have a go next time.
I will definitely.
I do like a old back massage.
Well,
like
they do
the
all
next
sorts.
man.
I think they do other kind of healthcare-y things like, I don't know, facials and waxing. And that doesn't sound like pleasant to me. Massage, yes please. Yeah. Somebody ripping out the hairs on your legs. No, I'm fine for that. No. Thank you. That's not
torture.
Yeah, that's not something I'm going to do for a fun. For a treat on a weekend.
No.
But it was really lovely. Sort of surroundings, just peaceful, calm, very nice.
Great.
Very, very nice. Yeah.
So I mean that's a little bit about facilities. We did something else during the weekend, but we'll come back to that I think a little bit later. But I think we should talk about the games.
Yeah.
Because let's face it, you're listening to hear about.
You don't care about my non-leg waxing I had.
yeah. So let's go and chat about the games. So we have played lots of games, I think, between us. So who went to the convention? So obviously it's us two. There's your husband Curly, We had Davey, we had Rob, we had Tambo from the podcast. There's 6 of us that went. Obviously, from our gaming group extended, there's a few more people that were there. We had Marcus, we had Jay, Curly's younger brother, and obviously when we go to these conventions, we end up meeting people that we know on the convention circuit.
And do you know what? That's one of my favourite things.
Yeah, absolutely.
It makes you feel like you've got kind of extended, I don't want to say extended friends, but it is, isn't it? And I think even the people that are not the ones we're probably going to list in a minute, I recognise that it's like, I know that face. I know that person's face is familiar. And me and Curly were talking about this morning, because actually we didn't play a lot of games together. We played just skip to the end, played Ticket to Ride, and I did win, which was very nice. I mean, I have been playing it quite a lot on BGA, you know.
You rinsed him.
I didn't rinse him, but I did beat him. It was quite, you know, and I only mention it because it's quite rare to happen with the amount of games that we play. And so actually, yeah, we didn't play many games together, but do you know what? He could have been playing something else all day, and I completely wouldn't have minded wandering around that hall. There would have been someone who I could have played a game with.
Yeah, 100%.
And that's the really lovely. It wouldn't have been awkward. It would have been fine.
Yeah. So I think a few shout outs before we kind of reel into the games. We see Joel and Claire a lot. I think most of the conventions we see Joel and Claire.
Yeah.
So Joel's and Claire are from the Devon Dice podcast. So they're kind of good friends of ours, and we've had many kind of interactions and games with those guys. Yeah. Not just in Full Board Gaming, but from previous conventions. So it's nice to see them again. It's always good to see them. We're seeing them in 3 weeks' time.
We've already got plans to see us all.
I think we've got some games scheduled as well. I'm actually looking forward to it. But we won't spoil that now. Who else did we see?
We saw Adam from Punchboard.
Yeah. That was really one of my highlights, I think, for me personally, was getting some games in with Adam. I didn't just get one, I got a couple, and really just kind of getting to know him as a gamer and having the banter with Adam. Loved it. So if you're listening, Adam, it was awesome to game with you. I'd love to do it again sometime soon. Expo.
I really kind of respect anything he recommends. I'm like, yeah, do you know what? I'm going to try that out, because
you're tuned in, aren't you?
Yeah, he's I mean, I'm sure, I know he likes his wargaming and stuff that isn't going to be my cup of tea, but a lot of the other stuff that he's recommended, even stuff that isn't board games. So he recommended this little kind of, I played it on the Steam Deck, Curly's Steam Deck, called Thomas Was Alone. And it's just this,
I've played this.
Yeah, it's just like a silly little.
So you play the squares.
Yeah, it reminds me of Lemmings. You've got to get a thing from there to somewhere else on a level. Yeah. And it's the most basic premise, but the narration and the story, like, you probably wouldn't, if you just saw a little picture of it, like, nah, not bothered.
It looks tosh, doesn't
it? He just recommended it, and it made me check it out. Yeah. And I instantly, it was like £7 or something, so I instantly downloaded it.
It's a great game.
Yeah. And I thought, he's really good at recommending stuff for me, like, not to me specifically, I'm sure, but yeah.
The narration in that game is what makes it, because perfect. You're like, you're playing a red square, and then you meet these other characters that are always a tall, thin one that can maybe jump really high. And then you've got this big square that's really slow and heavy moving.
That's Claire the Blue Square.
Square. And you're just kind of playing this game, but you have to puzzle your way through it. It's clever.
It's a good game.
We could talk about that. Thomas was alone for a while, but there we go. So yes, Adam, we caught up with. I think others, Paul Grogan from Gaming Rules. He was there all weekend, which was nice to see, with his wife Vicky.
Yeah, bumped into Vicky in the hotel. We had a little chat, so that was nice.
Yes, that was great. And Paul's Patreon community, there's quite a few from his kind of Patreon community there. So got to meet a few of those as well. So yeah. And I know that some of the team had gamed with many different people. Obviously, they're not here tonight, so apologies we didn't name you, because we didn't game with you. But you know who you are if you're listening. So there you go. Right, let's get on with the games, Bex.
So I started off with a quick game of Letter Jam.
Nice.
Which Adrian brought to Dan Apsey's 24-hour mini marathon, and I instantly knew this is going to be a game for me, 100%. So I bought that. One quick caveat, I think. If someone has any kind of letter issues or dyslexia, I'm terrible at spelling, I have to say. Yeah, you can use your phone and stuff, so that might make it slightly more difficult, but not necessarily impossible. I think we were playing it a little bit incorrectly, just kind of having a free-for-all on who was going to suggest the clues. But it was I really like it. It's a really fun game of just Scrabble Plus, but not
Yeah.
Scrabble, because we all know my opinions on Scrabble aren't particularly high. But yeah, a word game that
Scrabble rant warning. Scrabble rant.
It's just a really good, fun game. You each have some letters, a word made up by the person to your left or right. You don't know what those letters are. Everyone else can see each one letter at one time, and you have to make words up and say, oh, well, I've got a 5-letter word that uses 4 different people, for example. And so it kind of gives you clues as to what your letter might be. And you basically try and guess each letter, and then at the end, you're trying to guess what the word is.
Yeah.
Of course, when you're playing with our group of people, you know that probably the 4-letter words perhaps might not be very family friendly, but you're the one that's picking the 4-letter words. It doesn't have to be like that, but it probably will be if you're playing with people like us.
Yeah. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, that was good. I enjoyed that.
Nice. Yeah, I started the convention off with White Castle, which is published by Devere Games. So White Castle comes in this tiny box. Well, I say tiny. It's not tiny as in tiny epic insert game here.
It's quite small.
But it's quite a small
yeah.
box for the game you're getting out of it. So that's the surprise, number one. It's like, oh, I bought White Castle, and you're like, oh, is this a lightweight game? No, not at all. And they did a previous one called Red Cathedral, which I had played last year, which I thought was great for what you're getting. I thought it's really, really meaty, kind of Euro kind of game. But yeah, White Castle, I actually think I prefer it. And it's a dice placement game. It's tight as anything. You get 9 actions in the game.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
So on the left-hand side of the board, you have these 3 bridges. You've got a red, a black, and a white. And on the right side, you have all these different action spaces. And I think you randomise the colour dice that would activate those actions. And the actions are on cards as well, so they're variable. So again, every game is going to be completely different how it's set up. So on these bridges, you'll have 5 of each coloured dice. I think it's 5, and 3 of them will sit on the bridge, and you'll have a dice on the ends, like the top end and the bottom end, in ascending order from 1 to 6. So the d6s, and really, your turn is take one of the dice that are on either ends of the bridge, place it onto the board. And what I really loved about it, the simple kind of dice placement mechanic was these action spaces have pit values. So if you're putting a 4 on a 4, great. If you're putting a 6 on a 4, you get 2 money income, because that's the difference.
Oh, okay.
If you put a 2 on a 4, you pay 2 money.
I see. So you've got that modification kind of.
It's simple,
nice.
but it bloody works. So
Yeah.
it's kind of like, you know what, I'm going to overpay, as in put an overcharged dice onto this space because I need the money so that I can use maybe something else. And the other kicker is that if you use the dice on the left side of the bridge, the lower value dice, you get to activate your lanterns ability. And on your player board, throughout the course of the game, you're acquiring these cards, and they kind of put down into a row. And all you see is the collection of symbols, and your lantern ability just lets you activate the entire row of stuff.
Okay.
So you're like,
so
do
it's
this,
that
get this,
collection,
do that, get that, move in there. So throughout the game, you're just comboing and doing all sorts of cool nonsense, which I really enjoy in games.
So is it set collection, or is it just random thing collection?
Just a bit of this, bit of EPs, bit of coins, bit of something else. And yes, that's quite cool. And really, you've got kind of 3 economies in the game where you've got soldiers, farmers, and I think it's artisans, and the soldiers you're trying to put out into the fields, and you'll get benefits for putting them out. The artisans you're trying to get into the White Castle and level them up through the castle, and if you level them up to they're actually the action spaces you're putting the dice on, you can then acquire this card onto your player board, which means then you can personally activate that ability anytime in the game. And then if you get another one that overwrites it, that ends up going into your lantern area, which will then trigger different effects. So that was quite nice. And if you get them to the top, you get mega VPs and bonuses. And then you've got the farmers, and they sit in the pastures on the left near the bridges, and they will give you some like income at the end of the round, providing there are dice still left on the bridge. So this adds a nice little, I know you've got lots of farmers on that top bridge, so I'm definitely going to use those dice. So there's a little bit, I don't say mean, but you know, interaction, I would say. And the fact that it's 9 actions, that's all you get, 9 actions in the game, no more, no less. It's an efficiency puzzle. You're trying to squeeze as much out of your game as possible to do what you can. And that I just loved.
How long was the game?
oh god, what, hour and a half max.
That's perfect. That's a perfect length of game for me.
And I think you could, maybe even less. When we had the teach, so Marcus, it's Marcus's game. He did the teach, did a cracking job, and I think when you know what you're doing, you can bust that out in an hour.
Nice.
And it's just done. Do your thing, do your thing. And I just thought, what a neat little game. I'm actually tempted to pick up a copy because it's that perfect travel size game that has enough crunch to it.
Yeah.
And I managed to win.
Yay!
Which was awesome because I thought Marcus was stomping it.
Yeah.
He was absolutely stomping it, and I had managed to kind of go down the farmer's route a little bit, and I got a lot back. So really enjoyed it. Really kicked off the convention in a really good spirit. So
nice. It started on a high note.
Yeah,
I mean, it was such a popular game at Essen, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Like the queue was around the block forever, and I didn't push into that one. So
no, you did. Maybe you should have done.
No, I'm glad it was worth the.
What else have you got?
Play. What else did I play? I played a really, really great game of Art Society with Claire from.
I want to play this.
Oh, it's such a good game, mate. So good, and it was a really even when we were totaling up the scores at the end, we're like, oh, I actually don't know who's got this.
I love that.
It was I got 80 and Claire got 81. It was so close. Yeah, it was a fantastic game and. So for anyone who hasn't seen that, the box on its own is a beautiful box. It's got multi-layered box art. I mean, what other game has got that, hey? I don't think I know any of them. Very, very simple premise. You've got a wall on your board and you in turn select pictures, the amount of which are the players plus one. So in a 2-player game, I'm, picking 3 different size pictures. Now, you can see the back of these pictures. You don't know what kind of type they're going to be, and there's 4 types: landscapes, portraits, industrial, and I don't know, red, green, blue, and yellow.
Else. Yeah,
it doesn't really. The pictures are all funny, or maybe sort of like the Mona Lisa but with the cowboy hat. Just either silly kind of sort of spoofs of actual real art, or just mad art. So you're looking at the kind of frame the pictures have, and you're looking at the kind of picture it is. So it might be a red, blue, yellow, or green type, and it might have a shell border or a metal one or a wooden one. So you get points for putting frames next to each other because that's pleasing to the eye. So you get an extra little tiny, a little one tile to fill in your little gaps because you get minuses if you haven't. Well, you get more points if you filled your whole map. Yeah, that's one of the end game sort of triggers.
So the spatial placing is very important. So
some of them are 3x4 size, some of them are 1x3, so very, very varied, and you can pick them on your turn. And then there's this really interesting auction mechanic. So if out of the 3 that I've selected, I can think, oh no, only one of those is going to work for me, because you get bonuses for matching frames, but you commit a faux pas if you put similar pictures next to each other, because that's boring, right? Who wants a portrait next to a portrait? Allegedly. So if you can look
at
these...
Not that we know.
Well, yeah. So you pick the pictures blind, then you turn them over and you get to see what kinds and frames they have. And if I'm looking thinking, oh no, well, only one of those is either going to fit in my frame or be the right kind, I'm going to bid highly. So you've got these little cards that are look like a little fan, like an auction board thing with 1 to 20 on. So if I really need a picture, I'm going to bid 19 or 20. And whatever you bid, depending on what you need, then you turn over your bids, and then that person gets to pick first. Simple. You just take turns like this, back and forth, filling your lovely wall. Yeah, basically a wall. So the picture this is the kicker. So if you were very clever, I mean, I clearly wasn't getting this level of it. I'm just making nice pictures. But if you're really clever, the picture that gets left over goes to the museum. And that denotes how prestigious a picture type is.
Right.
So your scoring at the end
is dictated
by what you don't pick.
Oh,
exactly. Yeah. So I was thinking about this the other night afterwards. Maybe you should go really hard for a certain type at the start, which means it won't be in the museum, or try and send a type to the museum really early on and then try and get, I don't know. There's
But then everyone's going to go for those because it's going to be valuable. So.
But you can only go for them if they're going to fit on your wall. So it's a really interesting mechanic. Yeah.
I'll have to give this a go.
Me and Clay really enjoyed it. They have a copy as well. It isn't something that Curly really enjoyed because it's a bit puzzly for him. He liked it, and it does play really well at 2 players, just as well as it plays at 4 players.
Oh, that's good though.
Yeah. I can't imagine it any different at all, other than maybe slight more contention. But because you're using this bidding mechanic, it doesn't matter really.
Yeah.
You know, it's all about no one can have more of a first say because you've only got 20 numbers to pick. So
exactly,
yeah, really good. The artwork's really fun on the actual board itself. Great game.
Oh, we'll have to get a game.
Yeah,
let's do it.
Yeah, really enjoyed that.
Yeah, nice. Well, we I think we had a little cheeky game of Just One, didn't we? And that was quite nice because we kind of pulled 2 copies of Just One together.
Made Mega Just One.
Mega Just One. And we were just waiting for dinner, weren't we, really? So we kind of finished some of our games and we had like a good kind of 30 minutes to kill before we went for dinner on the Friday night. And we just pulled that. So that was quite nice. I'm not going to explain Just One. Everyone knows what Just One is, I'm sure, by now.
And if you don't, buy it anyway because you'll love it. Almost guaranteed.
It's just an easy party game to buy. So that was cool. But when we got back, we got into this situation, as you often do at conventions, where you get odd number of people and you're trying to find a game to either split the group down, etc. And we had a plan to play a specific game I'll talk about in a minute on that evening. Yeah, and we basically, me and Curly just kind of broke off into a 2. We played Hoplomachus Remastered for a good kind of hour and a half, 2 hours kind of max, which was quite nice fun. He absolutely kicked my ass. I had it. The thing about Hoplomachus Remastered, if you don't know what it is, it's basically a gladiator, basically fighting skirmish game
with big chips.
Big made tokens. By Chip Theory Games. So basically, all the units are chips on a neoprene mat, and it's not as complicated as Too Many Bones. It's not as complicated as many of their other games. It's on the simpler side, but it's quite rich for what you're doing. You've got a team of gladiators, and I was playing the Amazons. He was playing the Parthians. And it's basically a seesaw. That's how the best way to describe Hoplo is. At certain points in the game, you feel like you're on it, and then that thing's going to tip back and forth depending on what happens. And we were playing on the Colosseum side of the map. So the Colosseum is where your hero is chained up at the start, which means they're inactive. They can't move, but they can be killed because they're literally in shackles. And you were trying to get crowd favour to set that hero free or do other things, get health and other benefits and stuff. And on the Colosseum mode is if you finish a crowd favour track, you unlock a chip, a support chip for the other player, which they can put what's called a sentinel, a big archer dude on a pedestal, or a kind of blockade onto the map. So it just adds a new little dynamic. So the better you're doing, you're fueling the other player.
Oh, okay, well that's quite
as
a nice
catch-up.
Catch-up. Yeah, I like that.
Which is exactly what I did at the start. So I was like crushing it. And the Amazons have a special tactic chip which they can deploy twice in one go, which is quite a big deal because normally you only get to deploy 1 unit per turn. And so I had the upper hand on units on the board, but he, managed to kind of get going, come back, and I just made a stupid mistake. My hero I thought was safe, and he just completely just gave her a good big kicking. And and that was that. So I got to use my new shiny metal alloy dice though.
Oh, I did actually notice them. Because now you
probably
mentioned
heard them. Like dunk. And I thought I'll bring them because if we play Hoplo, then I want to play with the shiny dice that I got for Christmas. They were lovely. They're completely not needed.
Do you have to roll them in like a dice mat? Because otherwise it probably would just like onto the table. They wouldn't roll.
Well, weirdly, one escaped my hand by accident and took out the board, and all the chips went kind of everywhere, which is quite funny. Literally, gladiators were falling over themselves with these dice rolling across the table. But yeah, ideally you need a good dice tower, which I've got. But I didn't bring it. I brought my other dice tray. But yeah, you need to keep them there. They will damage your gaming tables. They're that heavy.
Wow.
Yeah, good fun though.
It's nice to have. It's a nice little bit of bling to have. One of my favourite games that we played, and I have played it once before. It belongs to Joel from Devon Dice, and it's called Iglu Pop. Now this game,
what the hell were you playing?
It's if you couldn't see it, you'd think that a lot of people are playing maracas because it. I'm sure we've probably spoken about it on the podcast before, but it deserves a second, third, fourth, and fifth mention. This game is fantastic, but it's out of print, so I've got my little idea of making some kind of
Becky version.
Yeah, Blue Peter version.
Yes.
So I'm going to try it.
Yes.
Anyway, it sounds silly, and it is because it is. It's a really silly game, but it's so much fun. You've got plastic igloos with tiny little glass beads in. the amount of glass beads is printed underneath the igloo, but you're not looking at that. So you have to pick them up, put your thumb on the number, and shaky, shaky, shaky near your ear. And then you have to decide how many glass beads are in there.
Okay.
Right? So you've got like cards around, a bit like if you're playing, I used to call it clock patience as a child, but you've got like nine cards around in a circle, and these igloos are in the middle.
It's like a clock face.
Yeah. And they haven't got 1 to 9 on them. One card might have 4 and 5. One card might have 7, 8, 9. One card might have 12. One card might have 13 and 14, even if it goes that high, I can't remember. So you've got random numbers. So you do your little... I'm mimicking... You can't see this
no,
on the
can't.
But I'm kind of mimicking the shaky, shaky, shaky near your ear. And because everyone else is doing this, you do have to shake it right near your own ear. Otherwise you can't hear how many beads you've got. And, you might not even know anyway. So, yeah, shaky, shaky. So, that sounds like a 3er. Or maybe a 4. I'm not sure. So then you're looking for the card. You place it on the... You put one of your little coloured tokens in it. It's got like a little holder. And then you plonk this igloo on the card you think has the number printed on it that is correct. Everyone takes turns in doing this. Well, you're all doing it together, so you all do one together. Then you might pick another one. And if you don't like this, you're like, I'm not sure about that number. You can put it back down and pick a different one, as long as there's more to pick. But so you plonk all your igloos on, and then you just look on the underneath of the igloo to see if people were right. And if you were right, you win that card. And if someone else was on there who was wrong, you win their little token, which is worth a VP at the end. It's very nice. So you win your own token
back.
So
it's competitive.
Yeah, it's competitive. Yeah. It's very competitive. For glass beads in a plastic igloo, it's very competitive.
It's cutthroat.
Yeah. So you win their token, which you can't spend for further goes, but it's VP, and it's someone else's, which is quite nice, and you can tell whose it is. So when I win Curly's, for example, it's like, this
got
is
a piece of your soul.
This VP's even more special now. So you just keep basically playing until you've got no tokens left.
Nice.
And then so each card has got a little Inuit picture on the front, either 2 children, 1 child. I don't think there's 3, and that's how many VPs that card's worth. So some cards are more difficult to get because they've got maybe only 1 number on it, whereas the easier cards to obtain are ones that maybe got 3 different numbers on it. So you count how many little Inuit children on the cards, bizarre scoring method, and how many other people's tokens you've got.
Right.
And your own. Because like I say, you win them back. So it's just a silly little bit of fun, but oh my goodness, it is so good. I need to recreate this game. You cannot buy it.
I mean, you all had smiles on your faces.
It's just
you
so
can't
funny.
help look over though, because I can't remember. I think I might have been playing Hoplo at the time or something. I know you were playing with Curly. I was playing something, and all you could hear was this, and everyone's like, no, or and just swearing and banter, and you all had a great time with it.
Yeah, glass beads in a plastic igloo. I mean, it's just brilliant.
I mean, you're going to 3D print.
I'm going to try. It's not going to be as good as the real thing, but you can't buy the real thing. As soon as you can, or if I get an opportunity to buy the real thing,
you're gonna,
I absolutely will. But I might have to make a terrible,
terrible
a
knockoff version.
A bodge job version to play in the meantime.
No, it sounded fun. It's
fun. Great.
So we kind of ended the Friday playing the game. I never even thought I'd even get this played, and I wasn't even thinking about bringing it until we played a game round mine on the Tuesday beforehand, and Tambo said, "Oh, why don't you bring New Angeles to the convention, to Full Board?" And I was like, "Yeah, that'd be quite fun actually," because New Angeles, if anyone hasn't heard of it, it's a negotiation game. I call it the argument simulator, right? Because that's probably the perfect way to describe it. But New Angeles is a game all about negotiation. It's set in the Android Netrunner universe, which is the reason why I picked it up, to be honest, because I'm a huge fan of the Android Netrunner universe anyway. I love the world, I love the cyberpunk aesthetic, and in this game you all play as CEOs of corporations, and these are the corporations that you can play in Netrunner.
Gintechi's one of them, isn't it? I'm remembering from the quiz. Gintechi.
Go on.
One that's like Kargendars, but it's not. Yeah, that's the one. Okay. One's like Waylander or something.
Wayland. Yeah.
Wayland, there we go. That's because it's a David Gemmell character that I remember. Waylander.
Can you remember the other one?
No.
3 letters together, and 2 of them are the same.
ICI? No.
Yeah.
No.
NBN.
Okay, NBN.
Yeah.
Cool, right.
NBN. So they're like the news, Facebook kind of media kind of dudes. And and you actually get 6 corporations. You get the Melange Mining and Global Sec, which is like security. So you've got these 6 corporations. They've all got their own specialities. They're not like completely asymmetric, but they've just got a little Billy bonus, as in they'll get capital or money if certain things happen. So New Angeles is a city. It's based on where LA was, but obviously in the future. And your job is to, as corporations, to make sure the city doesn't completely collapse under its own weight of cyberpunky gangs, organised crime, the fact that you're having protesters from the people in different districts because you're using androids to produce and manufacture goods that you need to, which the humans don't like because, you know, they took our jobs and all of that. All while trying to make money because we're capitalists and we want to try and make money. So VPs is what's called capital, and capital can be freely traded as a commodity to other players to help strong arm, convince, get what the hell you want in this game. And really, the kind of premise is that you'll start the round. There's 6 rounds in the game, but you start the first 2 rounds, because you kind of have round 1, round 2, then there's a demand phase, and then 3, 4 demand, and then 5, 6 demand. So at the start of the game, you know what the demand's going to be at the end of round 2. And this card will just say, right, there's a Olympics going on, and you need to fulfill, I don't know, 4 credits, 1 energy, 3 of this, and 2 of whatever it might be. And in order to basically get that demand, you're going to have to work together with the fellow CEOs to make sure you're getting androids in the right districts, because they all specialise in different resources. Okay. Cleaning up the city, because some districts will have no power, some will have gangs in there. You've got to usher out with what's called the Prisec or Presec, big security dude robots that you move everyone out. Like, move along.
Terminators.
Yeah, like, move along, please. All while trying to not increase threat, right? So threat is another track on the board, which basically goes to 25. If that threat goes to 25, we all lose, because the government comes in and basically says, you're shit, and we're going to run this city from now on, which is no good for corporations because you're not going to make any money, right? Yeah. So we're all going to go bust. The crux of the game, one of the things I really like about the game is the win condition is you get dealt a card at the start, and that's your rival. So in order to win, it's not you need the most VPs or capital. You just need to have more than your rival.
Okay,
so
which is another player?
It's another player.
Oh, but you don't know that.
Yeah, well, you know...
Yeah, but they don't know that.
They don't know. I don't know who my rival, like who's got me.
Yeah.
If you draw yourself, then you have to beat 3 other people in capital, because that can happen. But there's a sneaky special card in there called the Federalist, and the Federalist wants the government to come in.
Oh.
So there's a little bit of like BSG,
unfathomable
nonsense.
Yeah, I like the sound of that.
Which is just like. So you kind of like, yeah, I think we should do that, guys. Let's do this, and you're trying to sort of sabotage. But the clever bit about it is that the Federalists can only win if they get their capital to 25. So they have to help and make money up to a certain point.
Yeah. And
then they start tanking the game.
Make it wrong in the end.
Yeah, and really the kind of round structure is that you get an asset. An asset is like a person in the Android Netrunner universe. And the asset will give you an ability if you win them. And you're putting an offer down onto the board that says, right, I think we should move 3 androids on the board. And then you can propose where you put them. So I'm going to put them there and there. And everyone goes, yeah, great idea, JP. That's fantastic. And then Curly will go, well, actually, I've got a counter offer. I think we should do this. Maybe we should clean illnesses from the districts. And we've all got our own kind of secret investment cards that says at the end of the round 2, if the board state looks like this, we'll get money. So you've got some sort of hidden agenda of what you're trying to do, but also our abilities will say every time you clean illness up, you'll get capital, or every time you move androids, you get capital. So of course we want to do that.
Yeah.
Depending on who you are.
Very like convoluted, but actually
it is as I explained. There's a lot going on, but actually it's quite simple at its core. Is that you're just like negotiating and bidding on voting on which offer goes through. Whoever wins the offer wins the asset. They get more power. They can do more cool stuff.
You've made me want to play it. I have to say,
it's so unique. Like, it's just very, very different to anything that I own, even to like Battlestar Galactica or unfathomable. It's that kind of game, but the negotiation is where it's at.
Yeah.
Which means if you're not good at negotiation, you might have a crap experience. And it doesn't bring out the best in people, this game either. Which is why I like it.
Yeah.
Because you've really got to like hustle, and you really got to push your way in and muscle your way in, and it's like you're at a boardroom, and you want to be the voice that everyone's hearing, right?
I think maybe not for new players to a group.
No.
But it would be good for
if you know the people.
cemented friendships. It's a good.
Yeah, and we had a great game on the Friday night, and it was a great, perfect evening game as well. And Marcus was the Federalist, and he did a great job until he kind of revealed that he was the Federalist. He did a little dance as well in the corner, going, "I'm the Federalist." And then it kind of didn't work because we all just then basically didn't trust him, and we all tried to do what we needed to do. But for me, it was my convention game weekend.
Okay, your highlight.
I definite highlight for me, because it's not been played for 2 years, maybe even a little bit longer, and it was just nice to get that game off the table, onto the table.
I can't think I've heard anyone speak of it, or I haven't seen it much, so
it's
been kept on the down low in our group anyway.
Yeah, we played it twice before.
Okay,
that's it. And we've never not enjoyed it. We played it at 6-player, and we played it at 4-player.
Okay,
I just think it sings at 6. It needs 6.
Okay.
It needs everybody in the
How long
in the mix.
did it take?
Took a while.
Okay.
It took. I thought, have you done it in like 3 hours? I think it was more like 4.
Okay. Well,
the thing is with that game, it's because of the negotiation.
Yeah.
So some rounds,
yeah.
and actually some rounds you'll have 5 assets, which is the most, which will be a long round. Some rounds are 3. So it's variable. But yeah, if you've got a real contentious point at the game where I think we should go left, I think we should go right, and you're arguing and
yes, I guess,
and negotiating
yeah.
and you're trying to, if I'll throw you free capital, just back me, do it, and you can make non-binding promises and all that nonsense. So yeah, you can absolutely do it. So yeah, that's the downside, is it can take a while. But so you do need a good afternoon, I think, to play it. But I loved it. Great fun.
So going on to something completely different, I reckon we should talk about the food that was there, because that's always on the top of my mind.
Let's do it.
Whenever we go somewhere.
Yeah.
So the food, I think, was probably one of the highlights of the weekend. Now, maybe that's just because I like eating food. Oh. Maybe it's because I've been on a diet, so I'd already told myself, like, this weekend's okay. Yep, go for
weekend.
it. Yep, go for it. It's totally fine. And I did. And it was really nice. So it's not like the typical convention food, which is burgers and chips, pizza and chips, maybe a sandwich. It was proper dinners.
Like you're on holiday in a buffet restaurant.
Yeah, absolutely. We got there on Friday, and I think it served at something like between 6 till 8, which is probably really helpful if you're in the middle of a game and you don't want to just go at it at whatever particular time. That's a really helpful thing, I think. I didn't really have very high expectations, not going to lie.
No, I didn't either.
It was surpassed and then some. So they had a Mediterranean like salad buffet thing, which quite frankly was, and that was just your starter. I would have been fine just having that, but I'm greedy, so I didn't. So then I queued up for my hot food. I'm just trying to think what I had the first night.
I can't remember what
I
I
had. Chips and gravy involved. Well, I put gravy on the chips because
I had a pie.
I'm northern.
Yeah.
Pie, that's what I had.
Yeah.
Delicious chicken leek
wasn't it?
and ham pie with the nicest puff pastry on top. Absolutely delicious. And I had chips and gravy because I'm a wrong and that's fine. I'm okay.
There's nothing wrong with that.
No, but
we are from the same. We hail from the same part of the country.
When you're in the south, that's not looked upon very well, is it? But
Midlands,
whatever.
That's what we do.
Yeah, that's fine. It was delicious, and that was enough. That was more than enough already. And then my little wandering eye went to the dessert bit, and it was like, ooh, a queen of puddings. And I asked Tambo what that was because he's a chef, and I thought he'd know. And he's like, it's quite an old-fashioned pudding, isn't it? I was like, yeah, I've heard it on Bake Off. So we both had to Google it.
Yeah.
And it's a delicious, spongy, cakey thing with like jam and stuff. Then it's like a meringue on the top, and then there was custard. Oh,
it's just basically a big mess of dessert in a bowl,
delicious.
wasn't it? Yeah.
But for the people that don't like that sort of thing, there are also a selection of gâteaux.
Cheesecakes.
There was cheesecakes. There was also a selection of cheeses. and like
Yeah,
crackers.
cheese ball, wasn't it?
Yep.
Yeah.
The other main courses were something like a fish something and a vegetarian something. So that it really did cover everybody. I think the actual, availability of stuff was great.
It was, yeah. I think if you go to these conventions, like if you're dieting or you're trying to eat healthily, and then you think, oh, I've got this gaming weekend, and I wouldn't say it's impossible sometimes, but you really have to go out your way to make sure you stay on track with that.
Yeah, but we totally could have. I could have just had a lovely salad. There was salamis and kind of cold meats. I totally could have totally stayed on a diet. Choice. Absolutely.
You could kind of go for as much or as little as you like, or stick to the healthier side. You think, sod it, I'm going to go for the whole 3 courses. I mean, you do. It's all included in the price. So the mindset is like you're on an all-inclusive holiday. So fill yourselves up. That's how I attack it anyway. But you can absolutely just have what you want. But yeah, you're right. The food was great.
Absolutely, absolutely delicious. Breakfast in the morning. There were all kinds of traditional English cooked breakfast items: eggs, bacon, sausages, beans, tomato. All of that lovely stuff. Fried bread, hash browns. There was also some fruit. I did see some fruit. I mean, I didn't go near the fruit. I'm not going to lie, but it did look very appetizing and nice. I saw people with yogurts and dried fruits and all sorts of stuff. Apples, juice. It was great. I mean, when I'm away somewhere though, it's fried breakfast or nothing for me personally.
Yeah, it's a treat, isn't it?
But there was a massive selection: tea, hot drinks, teas, coffees, lattes, all that sort of stuff was a help yourself. Self-service kind of thing. Really great. I really couldn't speak more highly about the food. It was fabulous. No. Really fabulous.
Couldn't fault it, could you?
No.
Yeah. It's good value for money. Really.
Absolutely.
I think the whole weekend was good value for money.
Yeah.
When you consider, I can't remember how much we paid now, but
I think it worked out to about £144 a person.
That's right, yeah.
Only because I remember sending Curly my £144 because he booked it.
£144 per person for 2 nights, 4 meals, really, and obviously access to the facilities, the swimming pool, the gym,
the sauna, the steam room. There's an arcade.
You can't get a Premier Inn for half of that per night.
No.
And you don't get any of that, and you still got to buy your meal. So I just felt in tremendous value for what you were getting.
It really was. The actual convention space was, I would guess, maybe not a ballroom because there was like a bollard, like a ceiling hole. So maybe it was 2 rooms originally. I don't know.
I think was it a function room? Maybe?
Yeah, it would do a really good wedding, for example. That kind of space, that kind of size. There was lots of tables, lots of comfy chairs. The lighting was good. Plenty of like windows and doors and stuff. Mm-hmm. It didn't feel cramped. It was perfect. It really was the perfect location for a nice, calm convention space. They had a bring and buy sale, obviously. So I was straight there with a little cast in my eye, and I bought a £1 thing. So I actually think I was quite good at that.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
And there was a games library supplied by I think Clifton Gaming.
Well, Matt, it was partly a bit of Clifton, I think, Games in Exeter.
Yeah. Love that shop, by the way. Shout out to Clifton Game Shop. Really like it in there.
Absolutely. And I think some of Matt's own stuff as well, that he brought along. I never actually went in the library. I
had a quick look round because we played Ticket to Ride. They actually had a couple of tables set up for things like Ticket to Ride, so that was really nice as maybe like an icebreaker. And I think just one was there when we first arrived, so that was a really good ice. But they had lots of people wearing high-vis pink little little vest thingies.
So you knew that they were there to help.
And they didn't come and invade, but they were totally available if you wanted some help or something. Matt he just excelled himself. I hope he's really proud of the convention he put together because it was
first one.
It was amazing.
Yeah.
Just so good. Yeah. So good.
It's quite nice to chat to him because it's like, how's it going, Matt? I said, you stressed though? And he's like, no, not really. I said, kind of this kind of running itself. And I think because he put in all the groundwork.
But he'd obviously put in he'd planned everything and it was brilliant. Yeah, he did absolutely brilliant. It is a bit of a maze. I don't want it to sound like we're just blowing, smoke on people. I don't want to go, everything was fantastic, but it quite frankly it was. It is a bit of a maze, but that's because it's such a large building. But actually,
one
everything
of 4
you need,
hotels as well.
Yeah,
which I think this thing that Matt said is that obviously we didn't need the space, but if this convention gets more popular, let's say in 2025, he's got the access of the other hotels if needed.
Yeah.
So if this becomes, let's fast forward 4 years and you've got 200, 300 people wanting to come, it can hold it.
Absolutely can. Yeah, without a doubt. Oh, there's bowls as well in the hotel.
That's massive.
In the
Yeah,
hotel.
it's not even outside, is it?
No.
It's a proper bowls. I wouldn't say green because it was a blue floor,
Yeah,
but
arena. I don't know what do you call
it was
a
an
bowl.
arena.
Yeah, just amazing.
There's loads of people just playing bowls. Well, I actually want to go.
I did
Oh,
too.
there we go.
Yeah, I fancied that.
Shall we get back to some games?
Yeah.
Let's do it. I'll quickly talk about Voidfall because I talk about it a lot, and you all know what it is. But Paul Grogan had basically how Paul likes to attack conventions is he likes to schedule all of the games throughout the whole weekend. Kudos to him. I can't do that personally. For me, I like the freedom of not knowing what I'm playing and figuring it out when I'm there. But I do like to have one, maybe 2 games booked in. That's not with our gaming group because it's nice to kind of game with others that I wouldn't normally kind of game with. So this was my sorry guys, I'm just going to go off and do my thing for 3 hours. And yeah, we sat down Saturday morning. Paul wanted to play Voidfall, and you put yourselves in his shoes where you think, well, hang on a minute, he plays all the games, but it's his job.
And he probably doesn't play them for fun. He's playing them to review or to teach or whatever.
And I know, having spoken to him and know Paul quite well, is that there are certain games that he just wants to play like the rest of us. And he just doesn't get time because, constantly there's other games on his table doing other things. So, and Voidfall is, I think this might be his number 1 game ever. This
Beaten Mage Knight.
Beaten Mage Knight.
Wow.
He was talking about this at the table. I think it's either bloody close or it might have pipped it just. So for him to get a game of it and just playing it, that's why he said, I want people to know what they're doing. I don't want to have to do a teach. Get it. Yeah.
He doesn't want to be at work. He wants to play as a gamer.
Let me do my thing.
Absolutely.
And that's what we did. So we played, I can't remember the scenario, but it had one with wormholes in the middle. I've played it before. And I played as House Asteran, and they have kind of a positive and negative ability in the fact that every cycle you have to have 2 extra upkeep. That's the bad side because you have to pay more of your resources to fuel your empire. But you also get to activate your fleet power cubes, which is what you use to basically deploy ships and stuff like that. So they were quite a simple ability, quite nice, and some of their cards had some cool effects on as well. But yeah, it's one of those games where I just lose myself in it, completely lose myself in it, and you were just looking at this hand of 9 cards called focus cards. And I've said it before, that, each card has 3 actions on there. So that's, how many actions?
It's a lot of things.
It's a lot of things you can do.
27? Is
that
9 times 3?
I think that's right. And you're trying to sequence which card to play, then that one, and that one, and do that and that. And that puzzle, for me, is so juicy. And this game is heavy, guys. This game is super heavy. But we had myself, Paul, Adam from Punchboard, and Marcus came and joined.
That's a nice mix of sort of fun kind of
bit
people.
Bantery.
Yeah, but also people that don't need to be taught. Yeah,
no,
exactly.
we just kind of got down to the crunch, and I had a really strong opening on the first cycle, scored around over 50 VPs, which is a good first cycle score.
I've got a feeling this tail's going to turn.
The tail turned in cycle 2, where it all fell apart a little bit because Adam had basically looked at the cycle events and changed it to one that was like a 4-card cycle rather than typically get 5 or 6 actions or cards to play. And he put one that was a 4, which is like, oh my god, it's really limiting what you can do. And then I just didn't quite sequence cycle 2 well, and so I had to have a lot of ground to kind of pull back. But yeah, cycle 3, got through it, and the scores were so close between all 4 of us.
Oh, that's nice though, isn't it?
Yeah,
I like that.
I think between us all there's about 20 points, and I managed to pip the win by 1 point.
Hey, well done. Guys, this is your weekend, wasn't it?
I was doing well. This is not normally how it goes. But yeah, I managed to pip the win by 1 point. So chuffed with that because I was like, I didn't even think I was in the running, let alone managed to get the win. But I just love that game. I just think it's I've been waiting to move house so I can play more of it, because it's been in a bloody
Not because you
cardboard
want
box.
to move house or because you want more room.
No, I just want to play Voidfall.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, okay.
So anyway, so I loved it. It was great to play with Paul and Adam and Marcus, and I have many more Voidfall games to come. So yeah, nice.
Good.
And I didn't have to set it up on my own. So that's the bonus with
cool.
Voidfall, is the setup is it's a lot.
Yeah, setting up those kind of games can take a long time.
Yeah.
So Curly's brother Jay played Twilight Imperium.
He was next to us.
Oh, were they?
Yeah.
All day. Well, 9 hours they took, but I think that was hampered by the fact that it hadn't been set up first, and I think the person whose game it was hadn't actually either opened the box before or they hadn't set the cards. I mean, I've never played that game, understandably, because it's not my cup of tea at all. But I have sleeved the cards.
You have.
I've sleeved Curly's cards, so I know.
There's quite a few of them, isn't there?
There's yes, there are. So I know the enormity of that task, or I can have a bit of I can glean a bit of what what that looks like. So I think that took a long time. But the game takes forever anyway, doesn't it? I think he enjoyed it, but I kept looking like, was he playing something else after Beast? I think.
Yes.
With Tambo, and I sort of looked across the hall, and his face was just, you could tell he had like post TI face of I've done. But I think he really enjoyed Beast. They all seem to really enjoy that game.
It is a condition, that post TI phase that you have when you finish, because you've just been in a game for 9+ hours or 9 hours, and then you finish and you just go, Jesus. whether you've maybe just the winning or the losing, it's almost kind of pointless by that point. It's like you come back from got like a night shift or something, and you're just like, I just need to just relax or whatever. But yeah, it's mentally
draining. Draining.
Jay was playing the Emirates of Hakan. They're the Space Lions. So basically, as I call him, the Del Boy of TI. Del Boy being Only Fools and Horses, from those that are not from the UK, which is a great sitcom, and you should watch it.
Yeah, it's all right.
Oh, really?
Send me all the hate you like now. That's absolutely fine.
No, that's back in my box.
Well, the only reason I don't like it, this is not going to take very long. A boyfriend at the time's brother had just got them all on DVD, so we gave the entire collection of videos, VHS videos, to my dad.
Oh.
Who watched them
religiously,
back to back. If I ever hear that theme tune again, it will be
Stick
too
a pony in me pocket.
Oh God! I mean, actually, don't you give me flashbacks. it is probably a really funny, and David Jason is fantastic. But if that theme tune was all I heard through the living room floor, my bedroom ceiling. Oh my God, he's watching it again. Oh my God, he's watching it again.
I love
and
it.
again.
I love
it. Actually, I'm sure it's great, but
you're scarred.
You can have enough.
It's emotionally scarred you. Yeah, I mean, if you look over there, Becky, you'll see that that's my entire DVD
Christ,
collection
he's
of
looking
it.
at me. Oh dear.
Yeah.
Oh bloody hell.
Kushti. Anyway, so
Jay was playing as Del Boy, right?
Yes, so he was playing as Del Boy, and basically that's what they do. They're space traders, and you just need to haggle with the other players. And if you play Emirates well, it's exhausting.
Yeah, because Jay's quite an introvert. He's, chatty in his job. He chats to the public and everything else. So I think it's for him to play with a large group of people that he doesn't know was probably quite exhausting. But he looked like he was having a really great time of it, actually.
Yeah, I'm glad he did it.
Yeah.
I'm really glad he did it, because he loves TI, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He loves the game. I was surprised though when he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm playing TI." Oh, who are you playing with? Oh, I don't know.
Just some randoms.
Just some people.
Yeah.
Oh, good for you, mate. And personally for me, I wouldn't play it at conventions, because I think it's because of the length. Like I play it at home, but then I know that's why I'm playing, and I'm at home, which means I have the comforts of home.
Yeah.
So if it's like, should we just have a break and have a bit of dinner or whatever, we can.
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't at conventions, of course you can, but yeah, I think to take up 9 to 10 hours of my convention to TI,
it's not for you.
Not for me.
It's not for you.
But whilst you're on that though, we had a nice little moment, because we were playing Voidfall, Jay was playing TI, and table next to that was Eclipse. So we had like the biggest 4X space games all on the same 3 tables being played at the same time. That was cool.
That is pretty cool.
Very cool.
That is pretty cool.
We had a little video I put on the socials, so check that out. But yeah, it's
if any aliens were watching from above going, oh my God, what are they do?
Space games. Love it.
So going from space to another sort of space adjacent thing, I got my first game of Terraforming Mars, the dice game.
Yeah.
Obviously not my first game of Terraforming Mars. But yeah, the dice game. Really cool. Really enjoyed that. A very quick dice. So yeah, you're rolling dice. You get to pick certain colours of dice, which have got 3 sides of one symbol. So that's a common symbol. 2 sides of another symbol, that's uncommon. And then only 1 face of a d6, which is so it's rare. Now, the amount of times I rolled these rare, so it's like rolling 6s all the time. When I actually wanted the uncommon or the common, you're just like, oh, God, just stop rolling 6s. Yeah. Unbelievable.
Bloody dice.
Yeah, really fun. Not at all similar to TI, other than you've got resources and tags, sort of, but they're not really tags because they're the sides of the face of the dice you want. Yeah, you've got to put oceans out, sort of, and you get things when you do. But basically, you've got your sort of production phase. So, in order to have production, you've got to play the cards, and you need certain dice faces, and then that gets you more more dice next time. You can always do like a support action, which is pick any dice and roll it, or change the face of a dice by spending another dice, or pick up cards by spending a dice. So you've got a sort of finite resource of things, but you can spend those to get more cards out, or you can turn, if you've got most of the symbols you need, but you just need one of the thing, you can roll a dice and just hope it's uncommon. Or for me, no, even if I want the common one, I'm going to roll the rare one, because there we go. But yeah, it probably took, I don't know, probably less than an hour, about an hour probably, because it was a bit more with the teach, but about an hour's game. You definitely can't do a Terraforming Mars game in that time. No. So I really liked it. Did it scratch the same itch as Terraforming Mars, the main game? No. But maybe it would if we didn't have all the expansions. Because I think that game is made by the expansions we have. Not we have, but I don't think I'd like it as much with just the base game.
No.
So maybe it's in a nice small box. It isn't £1 million compared to Terraforming Mars plus million expansions and shiny tokens. It's a really good game. Really enjoyed it.
You got to play
enjoyed it. Yeah, I liked it. And the only other new game I played was Rolling Heights.
Yeah.
Really loved that, actually, once I got into it.
Yeah.
I was a bit kind of on the fence for a little while because I couldn't really see the point of anything.
Yeah, I know
like, you can see the point, but I couldn't see how it...
point. Why are we even here?
I couldn't see how things would play out.
Yeah.
But I really liked the idea of rolling these very beautiful kind of crystal and opaque coloured meeple into a box, and then you get points depending on how it's a bit like that game Pigs in
Pass the Pig.
So you're rolling thingies, rolling little meeples. Are they standing up now? Are they laying flat on their back because they're lazy workers? Or not lazy, I'm sorry, they're exhausted workers. You've probably been working them too hard, so they're either flat on their back,
they're lazy,
standing on the feet sort of head up, which is very keen, hardworking, or lying on their side, which is the most common way of rolling them, and then you only get half the amount of resources for them.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like reminded me a little bit of Quadropolis. So you're taking tiles and putting them on a map, sort of.
Well, they're the tiles are the blueprints for the plans for the buildings, right? Yeah.
And when you roll your little meeples, you get resource like steel or concrete or glass or whatever, which are these kind of like little Lego. They remind me of little one. Yeah, I don't know. I call them wanners in Lego.
Yeah, they're like little single tower pieces
with
that with stud on the top.
Stud's a good name. That's not what I call them, but one little stud on the top. Perfect. And they're either clear or blue or grey or whatever to represent wood, steel, glass, whatever. Yeah, and that looks actually really cool when you're playing it. You get start getting all these little skyscrapers. Curly was building Nakatomi Towers, wasn't he? One of his, like 9 little pips high.
Yeah, you had Hans Gruber literally falling from the top and going all the way down.
But yeah, I nearly bought that game. Well, I tried to buy that game in Essen.
Oh, did you?
Yeah, but it was like 65 quid or something.
Yeah,
and they were doing it, I think they were doing it on sale somewhere, and I missed out. But I really liked it. Would I spend £65 on it? I'm not sure.
No, I don't think I would. I was in the same boat, really. I enjoyed it. I liked the mechanics of rolling meeples. Yeah. I think that was fun.
Yeah, it was fun, yeah.
I think, every time you roll on it, and it's got that, because it's the same designer, John D. Clare, as Kibitos, right? I didn't know that until we started playing. I was like, oh, and that I got a bit more interested, to be honest. And now I can see why, because you've got this Pass the Pigs meeple rolling kind of vibe going on, but you have the the push your luck element out of Cabitos, which is I'm still probably going to get this rule wrong, but if you ever get obviously you're rolling your meeples, let's say there's 10 of them and 5 of them are on their back and 5 of them are either stood up or on the side, you then kind of going, right, half of my dudes or more than half of my dudes are working and half of them are not. And now, do I want to re-roll these exhausted dudes? Because if they're all on their backs again, I bust and get a lesser benefit.
Only half of what you would have had if you hadn't done that.
Yeah.
So that push your luck mechanism is really fun. It is really fun, and it's quite fun for everyone else as well to watch your disappointment when they roll exhausted again.
I think for me, I don't know if it's because it was our first game, probably. So I should cut it some slack, but I felt that on 4 players, because we were allowed to take our go, and immediately the next player would take their go. You can start rolling your meeples. So everyone else was kind of just waiting to kind of take their turn. And then obviously once you rolled, you figure out what their positions are and you go, right, I'm stopping now. You're then just waiting. So I just want to go.
Yeah.
And I felt like compared to Cabitos, which was more simultaneous play, which I understand this can't be done that way.
No, and it's a lot higher level of game, isn't it, complexity-wise? But that waiting is quite tricky.
It's a little bit like if it was just a bit quicker.
Yeah, maybe it's because most of us were learning.
Maybe.
I think perhaps you do need that little bit of extra time once you've seen what your resources are going to be for the next time. You then have got a bit more time going, oh, right, do I buy that bit of blueprint then? Or do I put them over there? So maybe that's useful, but I think you're right, absolutely right. On a 4-player, that is a little bit too long.
I think for 3 might just sit down
3, I think, would be the sweet spot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good fun game, and it's got that nice progression to it with the board. Look, like when you start, it's like this looks really like bland and nothing else. But like when the game gets going, and then these buildings get built, and the sky rises end up coming, and actually it looks quite like pleasing.
Yes,
like, we've just really built this bloody city, guys.
Yeah, it looks cool.
So no, I would absolutely play it again.
Yeah.
And you borrowed it off Dan, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
So I would absolutely give it another go, and. Yeah, and I can imagine the puzzles are going to be quite different every time because the map layouts.
And you get different kind of. I think one of our points at the end were whoever's got the highest building in this sector. Now,
the advertisement
I
goals,
completely forgot to even look. I mean, I saw them being put out at the start of the game, so it wasn't because no one had explained it to me. I just didn't. I forgot about it completely and was then hooked on my little personal goals that I had. So, yeah, I think I would enjoy it more on a second play. I think it's quite rare for me to absolutely love a game on the first play because I'm usually not understanding what the point of everything is. Yeah. So, actually, that would be really good. Nice. And a second go. I would like to give it another go.
100%. I played... I'll talk about it very quickly because we talked about Reykholt before on our Uwe Rosenberg podcast episode. I managed to get, just me and Tambo had a 2-player game. It was kind of one of these weird moments where it was actually 3-player and then there's an opportunity for someone else to go and play a newer game, and we just thought, we'll just play 2-player, it'll be fine. And I've been wanting to play Reykholt because I've never played it before.
I'd be interested to hear your opinions since we haven't spoken about this.
And it's Uwe, isn't it? It's, I mean, what else could you say? I quite enjoyed it. I thought it's very simple, lighter fare than maybe what I'm used to with some of his others like Aura Labora or Agricola Caverna and all the others. But it's got what I really liked about it is the VP track, is the tables.
Yes,
and
it's really pleasing.
It's just like you can once gain the stuff off a table to skip past it basically, but get a load of stuff. But then you have to pay all the other kind of vegetables and cauliflower and lettuces and tomatoes.
Because it's Uwe, so of course it's
all
food
veg.
Product.
I mean, it's Icelandic greenhouse farming or something.
Yeah.
And you obviously getting these greenhouses, worker placement, and it's fast.
Yeah.
Like,
really
bang,
fast.
Done. You're done. Bang, bang, bang. Next round. Okay. How many rounds? 7. Oh, we're done in like 40 minutes.
It's a great game, isn't it? I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Really enjoyed my play of it.
So it's a nice kind of lighter Uwe game if you like vegetables.
And who doesn't like
and
vegetables?
who doesn't like it, guys? But no, I thought it was pretty good. And we only played 2. I'm sure it's better with 3 or 4 actually. A bit more contention, a bit more options on the board and space, stuff like that. But very quickly, I played Beyond the Sun afterwards, and we had Rob, Tambo, myself, and Joel from Devon Dice jumped in as well. And that was a really nice game. I really enjoyed Beyond the Sun a lot actually. The more I play it, the more I'm enjoying it. It looks awful actually. I don't know how to say it. Like for me, it doesn't look like you look at the board and go.
It doesn't sing to me. I mean, okay, it's about space, so it's
space.
And I like space stuff, but not generally in games or sci-fi. The board is very utilitarian,
just clean and a bit boring.
Yeah,
isn't it?
It's very like a modern. Like if you're going to design like a film about space travel set in 50 years and everything's white and clean and smooth. It's like that, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I really love the player boards. The player boards are literally
nice.
white, dual layered, clean looking. I really like that, but the board doesn't look the same as that. The board's just got this planet, which is probably Earth, but and then loads of rectangles for where the cards go. So, like appealing wise, you can look at it and go, but the game itself, is really good because it's basically Tech Tree, the board game, is what everyone calls it. So if you like tech trees, you'll love this. Yeah. Because you start the game, there's 4 levels or tiers of tech that you can go down. Start with level 1, you'll research. It's all worker placement, so you research, access level 2, and then you'll draw from a deck of level 2 research cards, and then you pick one that's the right colour that you've sprung off. Put that down. That's the no action placement, worker placement spot. You get abilities, and then it kind of spirals out, like sprawls out. The board evolves as you play, which is really nice because it's always different. Even the positions where the cards are, where they come, how you access them, the game's different every time. And on your player board, you've got dice, but these dice aren't your traditional dice. You don't ever roll these; they're just used for resources. So you've got one side that's like a supply crate, and they're all nested in these columns on your board. And through actions, you can turn the supply crate into a population, like a little dude.
Oh, okay. So it's sort of like an upgrade kind of.
Yeah, it's kind of.
Okay.
It's a way of managing resources quite cleanly in the game. So you can turn a supply crate into a population of which you use to research, or you can turn supply crates into ships. That goes on this exploration board, which is a sideboard of planets and things, and there's a bit of an area control, tussly interaction kind of puzzle that's going on in there, where you put ships with different power, which the ships have like powers from 1 to 4, hence why it's a 6-sided dice, and you can then go and colonize these planets and get loads of benefits and VPs. So it's a really pleasing game. It plays under 2 hours as well. It's quite I wouldn't say it's not light, but it's not heavy. It's beautifully in the midweight, probably slightly less than midweight maybe, but me being me, I've got the expansion for it.
Of course you have.
Which is Leaders of the New Dawn, and it's my second play of it. We played literally before full board, when before we came to this convention, and it doesn't add loads to it, which is why I actually quite like it, because it's not like certain expansions where it like adds another half of rules in and it adds a lot of weight to the game. This really, all it's doing is that you've got more technology cards, shuffle those in, you wouldn't even know that they were base or not.
Oh, okay.
So you forget about that. And more events, same, you wouldn't even know, doesn't matter, carry on. The difference is that it adds leaders, which you get domestic and military leaders. So you've got, at the start of the game, you do a snake draft, and you pick one domestic and one military, so you go round and then back again. And those leaders just give you abilities in the game, which is...
Okay, so you haven't got to learn an entire new rule set or whatever.
That's it. Cool. So it's kind of like, okay, your military leader might have a ship that has 1 extra power on it. It's a token, goes on the board, that's it. Another leader might be that it has an investment track, that at the end of every turn, you move a token down, and any time during your turn in future, you get the stuff under the token and reset it. Like, they're not mad, crazy, bonkers stuff, but I really like what it added, because it's that just a little variety that it added to the game. But me being me, Rob's first game of this, Tambo's second game, Joel's played a lot on BGA.
You played it with all the expansions, didn't you? You went straight.
I went straight in.
Yeah, of course.
And I actually played with the advanced boards as well. We wanted to play with the advanced boards for so long, and you can't mix and match. And Rob's like, nah, just throw it in, it'll be fine. And I tell you what, for Rob's first game, he crushed it.
He loved it. He was telling me how great I think it would be.
He
said, I hate a tech tree, and I really like this.
Yeah, he absolutely crushed it, and I could tell the game was clicking with him. Because certain games he plays, he gets frustrated. But this, he was like, oh, no, this is making sense. I can see, I can do this, I can do that. And he had so many ships on the board. He was playing, I can't remember the faction name, but the red ones. And they're very strong in military. And because he's playing the advanced board, there's 2 trigger points on your player board that when you reveal one of your production tokens, which comes off like these discs that will sit in your board, when you reveal a certain one, it'll trigger his A bonus, which will do this bloody great big powerful thing. Can't remember what it did, but it did a lot of stuff, and it was like, oh my god. And he was just, he had so many ships on the board that you just couldn't even contest with him. It's like, oh my god. And he crushed it. He got like 63 points, which is a cracking score for your first ever game playing on the advanced board and the expansion. So yeah, he did well.
I had a similar experience. So me and Claire played Ark Nova Marine with the Marine expansion.
Yeah, nice.
Now Claire had never played Ark Nova before, so I think Joel was quite happy that he didn't have to do the teach.
Yeah.
So
can you teach my wife so I don't have to?
Yeah. So we played Ark Nova with Marine expansion, and I'm going to pretend that it was because of the quality of my teach, which
I'm sure it was
clearly,
good.
Yeah, I'm sure, but I did win, but only by 4 points.
Oh, that's a good game then.
It was great. We stayed so together. Like, the one person didn't shoot off, one person pulled a little bit forward, then they another. So it was great. She played an absolute blinder with that. I was so impressed for someone's first, even for not for someone's first game of Ark Nova, but especially considering this was her first game, she absolutely got it, and we had a great game of that.
Nice.
And that's another, I think, game that's a perfect example of. Yeah, the expansion does a couple of little bits, but actually you don't need to sit and learn 50,000 new more rules. You just don't.
That's a good sign of an expansion, isn't it? When you can throw it in, and you said the same with the latest Arnak one, right? You just throw it in, and you're like, oh, okay, we can just play, because the iconography you already know.
Absolutely.
And it's just more stuff.
It adds a couple more things, a bit more variation. Yeah, it changes some of your base abilities on your cards, but because Claire didn't understand the cards in the first place, because she'd never played. Yeah. It wasn't like, oh, so this is different. She played an absolute blinder of a game. Yeah. And we had real fun, and we really enjoyed it.
Oh, that's great.
I really enjoyed it. She said she enjoyed it. I hope she did.
I really enjoyed it. Bloody hell, I know that.
Yeah. So
shitty animals.
Don't care about a zoo. She had loads of pavilions all over hers, because she had got the we did the draft like you meant to, with the kind of changed base cards of your actions, and her build action, she could pay, I think on level 1 she could pay 3 extra money for a pavilion to be added just randomly. So she just had like pavilion city. So her zoo was like free range monkeys was one of the first cards she got out, and then pavilions everywhere. So we had this like nice little like idea about these just monkeys just wandering all around her zoo.
I did notice it, because you got the lovely, I mean, you 3D printed the pavilions, or you got
didn't, we bought them.
You bought them. Anyway, they look awesome. And I did notice on Claire's board, she's got a lot of bloody pavilions all over the place.
She had loads.
That explains it.
And it's annoying because not annoying, but one of my sort of what they called your kind of end game, the point of what you're meant to try to do. You get 2 at the end.
Oh, the end game gold card. Yeah, the brown.
Mine was have pavilions and kiosks. And I would have got points for pavilions and kiosks. But of course you don't know that when you're picking your draft. And that's the kind of point, isn't it?
Yeah.
So Claire had about 1 million pavilions and I had 3. But yeah, it was such a good game. And I'm so impressed that she actually got a positive score.
Yeah. For your first game.
For her first. Unbelievable. When I played a game, I don't know, a couple of weeks ago, got minus 45. And I've played this game loads. So she played an absolute blinder. So yeah, I pretend it was because of the quality of my teach, but she's clearly very, very, very good at those kind of games. And we had real good fun. It was really fun.
Oh, nice.
One thing that we did that kind of really broke up I don't want to say the monotony, because it's brilliant, isn't it? The brilliant monotony.
Oh, it's such a chore.
The brilliant monotony, but I think you can get maybe like, numb bum for sitting down playing games for hours. It was really nice that we all got together. A lot of Paul's Gaming Rules Patreons went and played 10-pin bowling, which they've got inside the hotel because the hotel's so massive. They've got 4 lanes of 10-pin bowling. So we got together and played as a massive group, didn't we? I think there was like 17 of us, or
about that. We had
something like that.
We pretty much filled. We had. Well, I'm trying to work it out.
Yeah, there was 4 on each team apart from us, which was a 5.
Yeah, 17.
Yeah, and we had a lady called Debs. I don't know if you listen, Debs, but it was really nice to meet you. She was on
never
our lane.
bowled before.
Never bowled before, and did a very good job.
Yeah,
did a very good job. Rob, who had bowled before, almost broke the lane because it stuck on his thumb. So the ball went far nearer the ceiling than you'd expect and landed.
It was funny.
So it was funny.
He did it twice, but one time everyone was watching.
Yeah.
And then all you heard as the ball released out of his thumb socket thing just went,
kind of a
It
noise.
just popped. And the ball just went up like dam busters with a bouncing bomb going all the way down the lane. It was so funny. Yeah. He's like, oh shit.
We had a really good time playing bowling, which is really nice. I haven't played a game of bowls. Do we call it? But no, it's not bowls.
It's not bowls.
We haven't gone bowling for a long time. But I really enjoyed it.
No, I think it's that convention space of you can just quickly nip off and have a game of 10-pin bowling for 40 minutes. Yeah. And then jump back into a game.
And
so
you can
can
leave your game set up on the table even. Yeah. All your games are in that room and you know it's absolutely fine. Yeah. I really liked that. That kind of, it felt very, I don't want to say secure, like there was a doorman or something. But that similar sort of thing happened where you end up sitting at the same sort of tables for your breakfast and in the evening. Yeah. And the only time I changed that a little bit was when I came down to breakfast on the Sunday morning. You guys hadn't got up yet, so I sat next to Adam and we had a good chit chat while we were eating our breakfast. But that's the only time I didn't sit at my not quite assigned seat, but that kind of thing. Same thing happens.
We're creatures of habit, though, aren't we?
Yeah. But it felt really nice. We all left our games and stuff next to our table. I would have been happy leaving my laptop and phone down there. To be honest, it just felt really.
Well, Tambo didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
Don't know where he left his phone, but he lost it somewhere. But then
someone found it and gave
it got returned to him.
Yeah, it was great. But so the bowling alley was in the hotel, underneath the bowls arena, green, blue.
The whole arcade was underneath the bowls area, wasn't it? So you kind of went downstairs and then and it's like, oh my gosh, there's a bloody arcade here. Yeah. But it's just nice. I really enjoyed that, and I did worry a little bit, thinking, oh, maybe it's going to cut into my Saturday gaming time. Not like there's enough freaking hours to game, because we got enough in. But I did think, oh, maybe this will take too long, and then I want to get back gaming. No, I mean it's 40 minutes.
Yeah, it was great.
It's a game of bowling. Really fun. Okay, it's not that long, is it? And it did. Like, you're right. It broke the evening up, and it was just something different to do. Yeah, it was nice to do.
Move around, stretch your legs a little bit.
Yeah. And then pop back and
then carry on.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So my final game of the convention was Lorenzo Il Magnifico. So again, another one I wanted to play. I've not played for a while. Lorenzo is a beautiful slightly heavier than mid-weight Euro game, beige as beige can be.
Well, it's got Renaissance colours and swirly bits. It is beige, but it does have
very florally, kind of patterny, nice greens. It's got some nice greens pastel-y greens.
Yeah, burgundy colours and gold. That kind of vibe.
It's the Italian Renaissance period, set in Florence, and you all kind of play as these houses, and we had a great time. Adam joined us from Punchboard. We played a 5-player. I rarely play 5 players, but Adam was with us and went, now I want to incorporate everyone. Let's all play. And you can have these house play as a house of family members. And the way I like to describe this game or teach this game is that you have 3 family members that are very prestigious, and they're represented by your coloured cylinders with dice colours on the top representing the power of the dice that are rolled. And then you have poor cousin Timmy.
Yeah, I remember this. I have played this once. Yeah.
Who's a wooden cylinder that has a 0 on top because he's useless. And
everyone's got one of those in the members of their family that is a bit different from, I don't want to say useless.
No.
But is the kind of
needs a bit of support.
The odd one out.
Yeah. And that's Timmy. I mean, you can use any name, but it's the name I was using for the teach. I don't know why. It kind of went down well, so it was good. And the whole kind of purpose of it is that you roll these dice at the start of the round, which corresponds to the black, the white, and the orange dice related to the three prestigious family members. And then Timmy's obviously a 0. But you use servants.
Oh, I always feel sorry for Timmy now.
But you use servants. You spend servants as a resource to bump the power of the dice. And you have, I mean, everyone who's kind of seen Lorenzo or has played Lorenzo will notice that these 4 bloody great big towers on the board, of which they have 4 cards stacked vertically on each tower. And each tower is kind of themed around territories and characters that you can buy, which is the blue ones. Territories are green, characters are blue, buildings are yellow, and ventures are purple. So buildings are what you'd expect buildings to be. You get VPs for building them, and they help with resource conversion, stuff like that. Ventures are more end game scoring, but you get some really sweet initial benefits.
Purple's often end game scoring, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why. Just pretty cool. And we play with the expansion. I always play with the expansion with Lorenzo.
Of course you do.
I mean, I play with the expansion for every game, but Lorenzo, I didn't think I could do it without, because I'd miss the house powers that you have, and I love the game before the game, because you have an auction that you kind of bid for the houses. So it's not like, you randomly deal them out and that's what you've got. You could do that, but you have these tiles where you go, right, there's the 5 houses. The tiles underneath there are a random set of resources that go from really awesome, loads of stuff, to the top, which is bugger all. And if you really want that house power, which is what Curly did, he went, I got my eye on one of them. He went straight to the top. So he got like 2 things. But
he got the house power.
But no one could outbid him. And if you went to the bottom, you get loads of things. But if someone goes above you, then you've got to immediately move and do what you need to do. And I just love that little game before the game, and then you get your houses and off you go. And Rob was playing. I could see early game he was getting quite frustrated with Lorenzo, and I know why. It's a spicy bastard of a game. It's quite tight, you know. It's if the dice were rolled pretty craply in the first 2 rounds. Like we had a 1, and a 3, which is just awful, which means you need a lot of servants, and it's if you've not played before, it's hard to know how to get the stuff to free yourself up to get the cards that you need, etc. But I think we all got going, and played really well. I kind of went down a strategy of not going for purple cards. I got excommunicated twice.
How is that even possible?
Yeah, well, you can do it because I kind of, you have a faith track that you need to kind of get faith in order to get so many that ends around 2, 4, and 6. You have to spend that faith and devote that to the church. If you don't do that, you get excommunicated, and there's a penalty of a negative effect that happens.
Right.
The first one I did. The second one I chose not to do because it was like, nah. Because sometimes you don't care, depending on what your strategy is. And the third one I did care, but I just couldn't get to that mark.
You really wanted to be faithful, but you couldn't quite manage it.
I couldn't quite manage it, so I thought, sod it. And I just went down what's called a yellow strategy, which is get a load of buildings, find ones that turn resources into VPs, and just spam.
Just go for that.
Spam. And it worked quite well until your husband came with his nonsense endgame scoring, and he pipped me by 3 points. I was like, no, I thought I had this.
He loves that endgame scoring. I reckon he must have like an internal notebook that's writing right endgame score, tips that, got 5. Because he's very good at picking when he ends the game as well, if it's in his control. So he's definitely already worked all that out. He must have an internal notebook, I'm sure. Yeah,
he did really well, in fairness. He'd managed to get, I think, a late game card with some abilities out of the discard pile, and it just ended up netting like another 10 points or something. But I love Lorenzo. I just, it's a joy for me to play it every time. I think I've only ever had one bad game of it where I felt a bit crap when I finished and gone, oh god, it just didn't go my way. And it can, like a lot of cutthroat Euros do, but I just like the puzzle that it presents on those towers, and the fact that, you know, the different dice values to get from 1, 3, 5, and 7, from the lowest position to the highest position. The fact you've got to pay money if that tower is occupied. The fact that you can't send 2 of your prestigious family members in the same tower, but Timmy can go in because he's not. Because he's a wooden piece.
Because he sneaks in.
Yeah, he sneaks in and he's fine. And that whole matrix of right, but I need that card, and how am I going to get my family member to be a 5 when it's a bloody 1? And what do you prioritise? It's just really meaty, crunchy stuff, and it's a nice little engine builder with the cards that you run. Yeah, love it.
I remember enjoying it when I first played, and that was a long time ago. So I think I'd only enjoy it more now when I had to get another go.
Yeah.
Curly was very kind to me and let me have a little takesy-backsy when we were playing Terraforming Mars, which was the last game that we played. Yeah, so
we'd left and we just, you were setting up, we had to go. So yeah, it was nice that you got TM to the table.
Yeah, me, Curly, Jay and Tambo. And it was probably the best sort of resource game I've ever had.
Nice.
But that was because about halfway through the game we were drafting for cards at the start, which I think you don't have to do, but I think that we always play like that. And I had just randomly loads of earth tags because I hadn't been collecting them. That was just a by the by. And I got so fixated on when I saw my first 4, I picked one and gave the other 3. And Curly was like, "Oh my god, you gave me that!" And I was like, "Why? What?" And he showed me, and my little face, because it was the card Miranda Resorts that gives you money production for every earth tag you have. And I was like, "No, I didn't look. I just didn't." And bless his little heart, and he had lots of earth tags too. He's like, "Have it back, give me the other card." And I was like, "Really? Thank you." I didn't win, but he didn't win either by quite a lot. He came in last position, which is never happens.
What, Curly?
Never, ever happens, yeah.
Nice.
Jay won. I was fairly close behind, then T, then Curly.
Okay.
Yeah. But if he had have had that Miranda Resorts card, I think it'd been different. So
really?
he was very,
nice of him.
very lovely. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I had like income of 60 odd at the end, and I never have that. My income's always
a nice
crap.
feeling, isn't
it? Yes, I'm definitely going to try and do that again. But I always try and do it. It just never works.
I did it once, and I didn't win, but I had loads of money.
It's just nice, isn't it? Yeah. I was like, I've got 60. What? I've never had 60 of the gold cubes in my little section to start with. I thought I can buy all the cards if I want. Vista's unknown to me.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really good game. Nice way to end the weekend. Something that we all knew how to play. Yeah.
So what time did you finish in the end?
I think we packed up about 5:30, something like that.
Okay.
5 o'clock-ish.
Not too bad though.
Yeah.
There's still plenty of people there, was there?
There were still some people there. Yeah, we may have left a bit earlier than that, but yeah, it was around about that sort of time. Yeah, there were still people there.
Yeah, so a lot of people were staying there Sunday night as well, which meant they can get the full day of Sunday, which I don't blame them. I think if I didn't have work, I might have thought about doing that. But I get to the point with these conventions where by Sunday I'm ready. And I love gaming. I love it. But you just get to a point where I think I've had my fill.
Done now. Yeah.
I've had my fill. I've played lots of stuff. It's been great. I'm tired because I've had late nights.
Early mornings.
And actually not as late as some, because on the Saturday evening, I think Joel, Davey and a few others have all banded together and played Castles of Burgundy till 3:30 a.m, which is, hardcore moment. Mm-hmm. And I think I sloped off to bed about 11:30 or something that night. I was like, thank God.
I think I was in bed by 9 o'clock. Honestly, that food and then the sauna, stupid idiot. I was in bed. I'm sure by just after 9 o'clock. I was like, I'm done. I'm just done. But that's one of the bonuses of being an adult, isn't it? You can say, I've had a lovely time. I'm going to bed now.
Yeah.
And that's all cool. And if it's not, well, it's just tough, isn't it? Because I'm going to bed.
Exactly. There's something for everyone. I think, this convention is coming back next year. I think the dates are already out. We'll put the dates in the show notes actually for next year. I think they're reusing the same hotel. I think they're going to be doing it in the exact same place. I'll definitely be keen to return.
100%. Definitely.
I think it's just the timing of it as well. It's like you've just had Christmas and you get to look forward to a convention that's literally the end of January. It's nice, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like normally it's like January sucks and I've got to get through January. And if you can kind of get this booked in, maybe as a Christmas present, right?
Perfect Christmas present
for a game.
Absolutely perfect.
Like, get it booked in. Come down to Torquay, even if you're miles away. come and like visit it. It's a really good convention.
Train station, about 10 minutes walk.
Yeah.
So really accessible, I would say. And I don't want to use that whole trope of, bring your wife who doesn't like gaming. Bring your husband who doesn't like gaming. You know, if you've got a partner who doesn't enjoy gaming but might like to walk down the promenade of Torquay, might like to do bowling, might like to have a nice spa experience, or not, or just, you know, wander around the southwest. We've got a lot of nice things down here.
Yeah.
It's great. Really, really great opportunity.
Yeah. And I would definitely encourage you to come and try it out. You know, I can only see this convention getting bigger.
Yeah, 100%. 100%.
You know, getting bigger, more popular. You know, we were lucky to kind of get in, you know, as it's new.
Early, yeah.
And
there were some prizes. They gave out prizes for winning the bowling.
Yeah.
I think there was some Catan was given as a prize.
Social media posting.
Yeah,
and things
something
like that.
Yeah, but I think that's a great idea to sort of help promote the event and get the word out, because this is such a great opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah, I will, as long as it fits in with my life, and even if it doesn't, I'll try and make it fit in with my life. I will definitely be going again, because it was just great.
I think Matt's looking at maybe, you know, some other venues around the country, so it's not always going to, Full Board Gaming is not always going to be in Torquay. I think there might be, you know, I think he was looking up in the northwest.
Yeah.
You know, Blackpool or any kind of around that area. But I think just keep an eye out for it. Go and follow him on the social media. We'll put all the links and stuff in our show notes. And yeah, just keep close to the convention. Maybe put it in your calendar. See what happens.
Definitely. Yeah, I guess that about wraps it all up. I think we've had a fantastic time. I think everybody enjoyed it.
Yeah.
I loved the fact that you can just finish playing what you want to play and then go to bed. Perfect.
Yeah.
You can't do that when you're, you know, miles away from the gaming areas, can you?
No.
Yeah, I think everyone had a brilliant time. Lots of different reasons, and that's really nice.
Yeah, 100%. Great stuff. Well, we'll leave it there, and we just want to again thank you for listening into our expansion pack episode. We're really glad to have covered the Full Board Gaming event for 2024. And if you want to kind of get in contact with the show, all our details are in the show notes, as they always are. And if you want to support the show, we are on Ko-fi's, Ko-fi, and all of that support helps if you want to become a member, or even as a one-off. It all helps us to try and, you know, improve our show and improve the equipment that we use, etc. So we appreciate everyone that does that. But other than that, we'll be back again for another episode at some point very, very soon. And whose turn is it? Matt's turn. Sorry, Matt's turn.